Yeah, unfortunately, I think that the right is divided tremendously, and there's a fraction of the right that have come out as the stupidest, most ignorant folk I ever seen in my life. I'm shocked when I see certain people get online and say stuff, and I'm like, where have we gone? We used to be the party of dignity, respect, and actually abiding by truth. We have now devolved in part. I'm not saying all of us, I'm not saying
Yeah.
most of us, but we have devolved in part where you have people that say Donald Trump is really the person who saved this country. We voted for him 3 times already. We believe in him. He's done all these tremendous things. But then you have people that say, now he's bought and paid for by Israel. Now he's a warmonger. Now he's evil. Now I don't trust him.
Right. So you were basically early in on some of the beginnings of what shifted culturally, where now, yes, obviously you can be black and conservative. Nobody cares except the lefties. They still seem to care. And judging, apparently some people on the right that are talking to you on Twitter seem to care as well. But for the most part, you were ahead on that, which just shows you the strength of MAGA and all of those things. So you're doing your show now, and you talk about a lot of things that we're talking about. And one thing you've become very passionate about, as you mentioned, is Israel. And I want to throw to this clip. It's from about a week ago. We didn't play it on my show, but I referenced it. You were on Piers Morgan's show, which I go on frequently. It's a bit of a circus. It kind of is what it is. And you were on with this guy, Dave Smith, who basically has made a career of just hating Israel. That's his entire existence. And I thought what you did was quite good because you just laid out truth, not nonsensical talking points, but just truth. Take a look.
Even if you say that, hey, look, Hamas goes down into the bomb shelters and leaves the civilians up there to be bombed. Okay, but then ain't there a moral question about whether it's the right thing to do? What they should do is embrace a two-state solution ultimately.
You know, it sounds cute to act as if they're just indiscriminately bombing people. They're doing strategic strikes. They have to get approval to do strikes. We know that they're doing it. People don't like it. It's ugly. I get it. I hate that it's happening. I would have ended the war in 48 hours and it would have been a mass casualty situation. However, we would have been done quicker and it would have been 2 years. The two-state solution idea, they don't, why are we lying to ourselves? They don't want a two-state solution. They want Israel to be absolved. They do not want a Jewish state. They made it clear, I don't know for how many years. Netanyahu, they removed Jews from Gaza and gave it to them. And what did they do in return? They elected a terrorist organization that extracted funding and resources from them to build tunnels to create terrorism against Israel. They cannot live in peace with these people. They continue to fight against Israel and the Jewish state. And I don't understand why we're acting as if that's not so. They've given them their own sovereignty to a certain degree. Imagine if they had their own state.
So you did a couple interesting things there. First off, the part that you almost said as a throwaway, I would have ended this in 48 hours. I thought, what did you mean by that? Because I think there's an absolute argument that that's what they should have done, and it would have been extremely bloody, as you hinted. But that would have not led to this extracted situation that we're in right now. Or this
and first I want to say this because Dave Smith tried to call me out online and say, because I used the word absolved and I meant dissolved. I misspoke. You know, but the 48-hour thing is, you know, it's easy for me to say because I'm obviously not a politician. I don't run a country. So I don't know if legitimately it would have gone well. But my sentiment behind that is saying, when they come out and attack you in the way in which they did, they video recorded it, they beheaded people, they took hostages. Your response has to be so overwhelming and violent that this never happens again. You know, America in Pearl Harbor. I mean, like, we have to go overwhelmingly with force. And unfortunately, and I say this with respect to the hostages, there could be a scenario where the hostages don't make it, but you have to pursue, in order to save the reputation of the country, to save in defense of the country, of all the people of Israel, that you may have to sacrifice a little bit to thwart and eliminate Hamas immediately. Because when you wait too long, now they're in tunnels going all over Gaza. They're not just in Gaza City, they're everywhere. And they're spreading the hostages out. And having to go find them a month later, a year later, they have now gained resources. They have now been able to present propaganda. And now you have to go through so many more people to get to them. So if you can just retaliate immediately with all the force you have in that first 48 hours, you would have probably had all the Hamas soldiers and the hostages all at one spot. They wouldn't have had an opportunity to spread the way they have. And therefore, the overwhelming force would have been so much televised that the world would see that you better never try to do this to Israel again, or this is what will happen to you. Now, I honestly feel as if it's easy for me to say, so I'm not saying that is going to work out the way I think it will, but the sentiment behind it is that overwhelming force, like America would have done, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. It's also interesting, and this is the bargain that they've had to deal with, which is they've lost, I think, 900 soldiers. I mean, that's young men, basically 25-year-old strong men trying to save these hostages. And at some point, it becomes a numbers game. It's a horrific negotiation to have to figure out. But what do you make of the class of people that are endlessly obsessed with Israel, this tiny little place, always just saying phrases, okay, two-state solution. Of course you were right in your analysis. Like, it's just another terror state. They ripped every Jew out of Gaza, the Israelis, in honor, in effort to get peace. That didn't work. But it's just like this endless class of people that wake up every day, and that's the thing to focus on.
I think that what happens is they have what we call a parasitic mind. They have a parasite in their mind. I don't know if it's natural or spiritual or both, but it's something that happens to people, Dave, and you've seen it, and we know people personally that have fallen off the cliff. Once they go down that path, they don't end the path reasonably. They go off of a cliff. And I don't know how they get to that point. It's reasonable for people like you and I to question things. Why did it take so long for the retaliation? Why are we lasting for 2 years? What are they bombing indiscriminately? Are they killing people at the feed zone? Like, we can have questions and go through those questions and get legitimate answers. But for some reason, these people, with not acting in good faith and asking real questions, they consume themselves. And I think God gives their mind over to evilness, and they begin to be consumed with it. Because I don't understand how a person can get on their platform, had never really talked about the Israel issue to a certain degree, but then they obsess with it. That means that all roads lead to Jew Lane, or Israel Boulevard. I mean, from Charlie's death to the cost of goods to Donald Trump's actions to everything is Israel's fault, and that's not normal. And I think that's what's happened to people. They have a parasitic mind.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like there's like an algorithm version of it. You're just going to get clicks, which are largely just foreign bots. So there's like some financial aspect, but I don't like to just put it in that. I do think you're right. There's a spiritual aspect. It's like at the end, in a way, it's like, oh yeah, if I can just connect everything to the Jews, and I can make some money along the way, it becomes like this really, really, really insidious thing. What's your take on doing Piers' show over there? I'm going to have him in studio next month, and I do the show. I like Piers as a human being, but in terms of what we're all doing with discourse, I mean, he sort of came in the middle of all this and was like, I'm going to make it all the worse. And again, I kind of like him. That's why I'm smiling when I say it, but it's not helping. It's not helping, I don't think.
Yeah, I get what his approach is. It's very strategic and smart to me, and I actually want to replicate something that he does, but I think I can make it a little more polished. Because I think it's good to have different people from different walks of life actually having a conversation. Does that really occur on Piers Morgan the way it should? No, it doesn't. I mean, I've been on there where times where I'm like, there's no way I'm coming back on the show. Yeah. It's counterproductive. These people are talking over, everybody's talking over each other. It's nothing there. But I also understand the value in planting seeds, because there are people that probably listen to the debate with me and Dave Smith. The radical side is saying, I won and he won. But then there's people in the middle that had never heard some of these things presented. And maybe, just maybe, they'll say, I think I got something from this debate, even though I only watched 5 minutes of it, 10 minutes, or clips that are produced from it. So if I were to be asked to go back on, I believe I will continue to do it unless it becomes a situation where they're not acting in good faith. Piers Morgan, and to his defense, he gave me plenty of time to say everything I wanted to say for the most part. At the very end, I would have liked to say a couple things. I would have liked to rebut some of Dave Smith's points a little bit more, but I cannot say that he didn't give me a fair chance to just unload on everything that I wanted to initially put out there. And I thought that was fair. So I'd go back on, but I think these conversations need to be had. People cannot be in an echo chamber.
Yeah. What do you make broadly about what's going on the right now? Like, I know we can spend all day kind of diagnosing, what's wrong with the left and identity politics and woke and all that stuff. My feeling on the right now is Trump created this unbelievably robust wide tent thing. I'm fighting very hard to hold it as much as possible. I think what he's done almost across the board has been phenomenal. But there's definitely a lot of pressures in that, and I think post Charlie, that now has added some weirdness to it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that the right is divided tremendously, and there's a fraction of the right that have come out as the stupidest, most ignorant folk I ever seen in my life. I'm shocked when I see certain people get online and say stuff, and I'm like, where have we gone? We used to be the party of dignity, respect, and actually abiding by truth. We have now devolved in part. I'm not saying all of us, I'm not saying most of us, but we have devolved in part where you have people that say Donald Trump is really the person who saved this country. We voted for him 3 times already. We believe in him. He's done all these tremendous things. But then you have people that say, now he's bought and paid for by Israel. Now he's a warmonger. Now he's evil. Now I don't trust him. He appointed Kesh Patel, Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, who we loved. I've never had a problem with Dan Bongino. All of a sudden, because they don't give people the results that they want, because they bought into a conspiracy too deep, now they want to turn on them. I'm okay with saying, hey, man, the information that's being disseminated is not good enough. That's fair. Mm-hmm. You guys dropped the ball with the binders and all that stuff. That's complete stupidity. Donald Trump is completely out of his mind when it comes to the way he presented the Epstein thing. Like, dude, he's tone deaf. It's okay to say that. But to say these people are corrupt and they're part of the deep state, I mean, what are we doing to our own side? We're cannibalizing the very people that have been fighting for the same movement that we've been fighting for over a decade. And I find it to be horrific. And the Jew thing is really what's causing a lot of it, which is weird, that a lot of the division is on the Israel thing. Dave, I didn't think it was a big deal, dude. I was like, it's common sense. They're a terrorist attack them and they're fighting the terrorists. That's it. But then when I saw the fake videos come out, I begin to get irate and I begin to go hard against all the lies. But I've seen so many people on our side turn on me. I'm getting paid. I'm a shield. They call me a coon. Some dude, I don't want to say his name, which he'll never say this to me in person, called me a monkey. I mean, these are mainstream people saying stuff that they've never said online in a racial manner because they hate Israel so much. So those things are causing a big rift. And I think Charlie's death is creating it too. You got the conspiracy side that think the government is in, Turning Point is in on it. Mm-hmm. And then you have reasonable people that's like, let the investigation unfold. Trust that in good faith, something is going to come out. The defense is going to argue the same thing that naysayers are arguing, but they're going to argue it from a point of fact and evidence. So wait till it come out and make a judgment on it. But it's sad to say, but it's a lot of division going on our side.
If you're craving more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics, check out our politics playlist right here. And if you don't want to miss any future videos, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell.